Welcome, everyone, to the Real Whovians cast. I am your host, Matrixlord212, and I'm with Scott. What's up, Scott?
Hello, all.
All right, so we're reviewing Pyramids of Mars, and gotta tell you, this was my first episode of Doctor Who ever when I was a kid.
Nice.
This is what got me started.
Robot was mine.
Yeah, this got me started watching.
I switched on expecting to watch the goodies, and Tom Baker's robot had replaced the goodies, but nonetheless.
Yeah, as a kid, I was fascinated at the time we had a TV that was a UHF unit, yeah. Like the channels. You don't have a remote. You had to manually turn the knob. And we had another
remote control.
We had the aerial with the tinfoil on it. Okay. And I explored UHF because they had that thing. I'm like, what the hell is the purpose of it? Turns out when I go to UHF, it was all staticky and everything, and you would have to move the thing around to try to get a nice picture, but you're constantly trying to get a good picture, and it wasn't as good as regular TV. And I seen this, like I said, as a kid back then, seeing this guy wear this long scarf in the warm weather and then seeing these mummies and everything, I was hooked, and I was like, what is going on here? I see Sutek, I see all these different things, and I'm like, as a child that's never really seen anything like this, you have to understand, I'm in kindergarten, okay? So I see this, and it totally changed the course of my history by watching this, okay? And immediately, when I went back to school, I was trying to get my friend to watch it too, my friend Anthony at the time, and we were the only two people that were watching Doctor Who in my whole entire school. And as the years went on, there was no one that knew Doctor Who other than me and my friend Anthony. And any school that we went to, whether it be elementary school, even in junior high school, intermediate school, and even in high school, nobody knew Doctor Who. Nobody. And I used to get beat up when I was a kid because I used to pretend in my schoolyard in PS50 that this tree was my TARDIS, and I even constructed I tried to carve a key out of a twig or a branch, and I had my own thing, and it was and people used to think I was weird, and of course I got beat up by bullets.
No, you're kidding. You're pulling my leg there, Joe.
Yeah, so that was that, and there's a lot of interesting things that you could take.
They note Harold Carter in that episode too, the King Tut thing.
Okay, there's a lot of things you could take from this. This is way before Back to the Future.
Yep.
Okay.
And another little side note. Mick Jagger's home was used as the old priory that sat on the grounds before a unit, and that's where.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that house, which they use, was supposed to be that very
Mick Jagger's house.
Yeah, it was not only Mick Jagger's house, but it was the priory that sat there beforehand.
Oh, that is interesting. And of course, we know that got burned down and later became Unit HQ.
Yep.
So there was a lot of things. The episode before, we heard Brigadier say, "Great Scott." This one we got to see, because what happens is, well, let's. You want to go at the beginning of it? You want to say what this?
Sure.
Yeah.
Basically,
I'm always talking anyway, so go.
Basically, this. I'm going to have to look at the thing a little bit here.
Horus had trapped.
Horus
and what was it, 100 or 200 of his men of the Osirans, alien race.
Osirans
trapped.
Pretty much trapped and imprisoned Sutek in a pyramid. Note the note.
Pyramid of Mars.
A pyramid on Mars.
The title of the episode is Pyramids of Mars.
Pyramids of Mars, but nonetheless, trapped him on Mars due to the crimes he had done, because he would have just totally devastated the whole Earth.
Correct.
And this one archaeologist who happened
Marcus. Marcus uncovers the tomb. Marcus uncovers the tomb of Osiris. He looks in the eye of Osiris, and he immediately gets possessed by Sutek.
And it says Sutek only needs one, and pretty much.
Well, before we jump into that, there was a guy, Neelam. I think his name was Neelam. He was an Egyptian. He had the fez, playing the organ, and he got a message from, he believed Sutek. He got the message from Sutek that, you can't let anybody in here. You can't let my brother, you can't let, Marcus had given him a message not to let Lawrence in. You're in charge of everything. You could live here. You could do this, but don't let anybody in here. And Dr. Warlock basically was questioning it because he's friends with Lawrence, and Marcus is, he's friends with Lawrence and he's friends with Marcus. And he was like, what's going on? Who the hell are you? This is forgery. This is whatever. And the doctor and Sarah are basically, they show up and they see the stuff transpire.
Yep.
Where they see that the Egyptian guy was going to kill Dr. Warlock, and the doctor grabbed the scarf and almost choked him with it to stop it. But he got shot. He got shot, Dr. Warlock.
Yep, and they pretty much tended to him. And they used this little, I know I'm leaping ahead here, but they used this one little machine in order to find out the signal and the whereabouts.
There was a machine that the guy invented, some type of telescope or something, whatever the heck thing was called. That it was the year was in 1911. That's what the year they were in, and the guy Lawrence was fascinated. Well, Sarah went to get Lawrence's help because the doctor was carrying Dr. Warlock, and
thought he was free of the.
And Sarah got the guy Lawrence. They brought him back to the house. They patched him up. They put the thing on him, the sling, and he was fascinated with the doctor because Sarah said they're from 1980. And they traveled through time. And then when the doctor knew exactly what his invention was, he's like, I believe him 100%. Because it's like, it's always like they're smart. But then when someone smarter comes along, they're like, this guy didn't have an ego. He's like, oh, okay. I'm just going to give up because you know what the hell you're talking about. Yep. Unlike the guy in the other episode was like, oh, I'm sorry because I know what I'm doing. There's the opposite. This guy was like, the guy was oh my God, this guy's great. What can I learn from him type of thing. So we find out the Neelam, I think his name was, Neelam, basically contacted Sutek, and he thinks that Sutek comes through the doorway, but it's the servant of Sutek, which he says there can only be one servant, and he kills Neelam, and it turns out to be
hands on his shoulders and let's just put it this way, fries him.
And it turns out to be Marcus, possessed Marcus, Dr. Marcus. Professor Marcus, whatever. And he has robot mummies that, that they're robotic mummies. There was like 3 of them.
Sorry, had to go there.
And while that's going on, there's that guy that, I don't know if he's called the poacher or whatever he is. He's got a gun and stuff like that. And one of the mummies gets trapped in there, and like that you trap like the animals.
I still remember that.
Whip that, he's like, shred, and he like rips it off, he gets it off, whatever. But basically, the doctor surmises Sutek, and
these are actually robots.
Yes,
and finally the poacher sadly gets crushed between 2 of them.
Well, yeah, he gets killed, but so does Dr. Warlock gets killed. Yeah. And the thing is that Lawrence still he finds out that Marcus is possessed, and he still wants to get through to Marcus. And the doc's like, "Listen, he's a cadaver. There's nothing in there. Don't even approach him. Don't this,
tried, but if
and what happened? They tried to.
There was some inklings, but just enough to just keep him conscious.
And there was some device that the guy didn't want the doctor to do, so he didn't want to kill Marcus. And Sarah like pushed him, and they temporarily stopped them from coming to the thing. And then he's like telling the doctor he's sorry. He's trying to get through to Marcus. He doesn't give up trying to get through to Marcus. He does listen to the doctor, and he does take apart the mummy and the coils, and where it's like an empty casing. And he does give the location. Well, before that, let's not jump ahead. Before that, he gives the doctor the location of the poacher's hut where the explosives are. Okay, because that was a key thing, is that the Doctor needs to plant the explosives in that pyramid thing that they built,
which is a missile.
Yeah, which was a missile to blow it up. And and Sarah all of a sudden is like an expert marksman, knows how to load a gun, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
But in the very beginning of the episode, before we keep jumping around, Sarah sees Sutek in the TARDIS. Now, again, they didn't really explain why that's the case. She has some type of ability, because it was like another thing she saw. Remember, she felt the thing in the last episode, like the alien, like the antimatter creature and all that stuff. So, but anyway, the Doctor gives his epic speech in the TARDIS. That he's a Time Lord.
I walk through time, and she goes, "Yes, I know."
Yeah.
Put it to sleep there, Doctor. You're great, but I'm tired of hearing it.
I mean, what does he say? I live in eternity, or like walk in eternity, something like that. Shame on
wraps
me.
Herself in that little thing, and it almost looks like she's mocking him at the same time.
Yeah, that was like the most epic speech, epic scene, and she's like mocking him a little bit. And immediately you saw her dressed in Victoria's outfit. He goes, Victoria. And then he tells her, that Victoria wore that as companion. But anyway, getting back to the episode, no flashing around, but that was one of the biggest scenes ever, because it was also laying the groundwork that the Doctor was tired of going to Earth. He's tired of working for the Brigadier and unit. He wanted to go around and not have to come back to Earth unless he had to drop Sarah off. So that's what they were trying to imply, that the Doctor feels that he's so above Earth and the Time Lord, and he's meant for bigger and better things. So he's like kind of like this, I walk in eternity, whatever. And he's like, I'm above this garbage. Like, I don't want to be. She's like, you could always quit.
I don't want to be always on Earth, because he'd been banished there for so long.
Right, which this is what they should do with Doctor Who now. He shouldn't be on Earth all the time, because he even said it himself.
It gets dull.
And the TARDIS got that, thing with the vision of Sutek or whatever, it was Horus or Sutek, whatever. And, that's when they investigated. But their plan originally is to get the explosive, and the Doctor dresses up as a mummy. And
plant it, but yet the little thing goes awry, and they can't understand why.
Basically, she shoots the thing, and it wants to explode, but then it gets sucked in, and we learned that the explosion is still going to take place, but Sutek is using all his brain power to contain the blast. And if he gets distracted, the whole thing blows up. Right. What happens is, after that, the Doctor gets out of that. Also, Lawrence gets killed by, because he tries to get to Marcus, and Marcus just kills him. Anyway. But he gets to the transmat thing, he goes there, and Sutek is basically ripping apart his mind. Yeah. And
But when they get there, he finds him in that state, because there's like a force field netting, so to speak, holding him in place, so he cannot get up from his
there's a whole bunch of rooms, there's a whole bunch of puzzles and traps and to keep him there. And the whole thing is that the Doctor was kind of afraid of Sutek, because he even said that the Time Lords would never be able to stop him. Yeah. A whole bunch of people wouldn't be able to stop him.
And he even showed Sarah and Marcus what would happen if Sutek escaped.
And that's the thing that's interesting, because you know what? There's never been really, I don't think, anything that's had something like that. And then years later, Back to the Future shows an alternate reality of 1985. But it makes you wonder if they took stuff from Doctor Who. Yeah. It's like you're pretty sure that they took, like a lot of things took.
And Sarah even said, "But I'm from 19 yada yada."
1980.
Looking at it, just literally
there's a whole alternate reality that was created because Sutek destroyed the world. So he says we have to go back, and basically that's what they do. They have the plan to try to stop Sutek, and the Doctor goes to Sutek to distract him. He's like, starts talking. Oh, Sutek, this. He did distract him.
When you walked into his cell, it's like, oh, there's Sutek. He wasn't.
No, but he did distract him, and then Sutek turned around, and the whole thing blew up. And he's like, "You just trapped me here forever. Should I just torture you for centuries as my plaything, whatever?"
Which you'd be able to do.
Yes, and he found out that he's a time traveler. He's, the Doctor, and he renounced Gallifrey, and he has a time machine, which he possesses the Doctor to take control of the TARDIS, to bring the servants to him, to free him from his prison.
Yep.
Which then you think that the doctor's killed by the mummy, but he isn't. He's free. He's like free. And as the mummies with Marcus go to solve the puzzle, so does the doctor. Then Sarah gets trapped in that
tube thing.
That tube thing, and then it's like that thing. I don't know if it's from ancient mythology where there's like even in Labyrinth they had it like one person says the truth and one person says the lie. He tricked it. He figured it out. He freed her. And the funniest thing ever is like him, the doctor and Sarah are about to go. They see the mummy. They turn around.
Yeah.
Which a lot of movies do that. They even did that in Force Awakens. They see Kylo Ren and they blast it and let's walk back the other way. But yeah, so they basically Sutek wins, and he's able to get freed. So the doctor,
but the doctor explains.
Well, before that happens. So the guy dies. The guy that Marcus, the machines start killing each other. The mummies. He travels in the TARDIS, and you find out that there's even though the thing is broken, there's still 2 minutes in place that holds, the prisoner, Sutek, 2 whole minutes, which he was able to get this technology that he had for Gallifrey to connect it to the transmat, and as he's coming through, he's able to reprogram it to put him into some type of loop.
Thousands of years into the future.
Some temporal loop. Yeah. And, he basically traps him and kills him. They said he dies. Yeah. He dies.
He sends him so far into the future that he pretty much
dies. Because he can't, he turns to dust because he can't.
And this is the reason, this would have been a great way of reintroducing him to the new series.
Like he could have got out of that transmat thing. He could have appeared somewhere else. Same thing happens with City of Death where, he gets stuck in the transmat and then the guy blows up the transmat. You remember that? The time thing that blows it up, But this is a great friggin' episode. This is what got me hooked in Doctor Who forever.
I switched because, like I said, I was living in north of here, Bartlesville at the time. It was around '83.
Yeah.
And like I said, I switched on expecting to watch the goodies that I was familiar with when I used to live in Iowa. And Tom Baker's Royal comes on. And I thought, mistake. Next thing I know, 30-something years later, I'm still watching Doctor Who. And the only time, and of course, years ago, you're talking about the whole dial thing. There was a show, whenever I visited one or both my grandparents, there was a show there was 2 shows. There was Ultraman and there was a Giant Robot. And they would have, and I think it was also Battle of the Planets too. I'm not sure. But turning it to U30, I could get to watch one of those 3 shows.
This made me hooked, and I continued to watch. It was Channel 58, New Jersey Network, on Saturday night at 9:00. And that's every Saturday night. Me and my dad, my mom, my sister, we all watched it. And I didn't care what was on, but that's what we never deviated. And my dad got hooked with it, and it was a great experience that the whole family had. Again, one of the best episodes of Doctor Who, and the speech, he basically tells, I'm reading it now because I want to make sure I get it right. He's like, the Earth isn't my home, Sarah. I'm a Time Lord. She's like, oh, I know you're a Time Lord. You don't understand the implications. I'm not a human being. I walk in eternity. That is the most famous line of Doctor Who.
Rapping in the head.
Yes, and Sutek saying that his good is like his evil is his good, and meaning that trying to make it like there's no such thing, whatever. This was a fantastic episode, and also, the Doctor was afraid of Sutek, but yet the Doctor always conquers his fears, like he conquered the fear of spiders and everything. He took them on anyway.
Because if you notice, every time he gets hit mentally, from the spider and from Sutek, it's just that they can actually see what he's afraid of, and they try to turn it against him. But they don't really understand with the Doctor. When you try to turn something against him, he literally just turns back around and uses that same thing against you.
Yeah, and he always conquers whatever fear he has, and every incarnation is something that, maybe that incarnation he's worries him or upsets him or gets him like he's afraid of, but this, he died as the 3rd Doctor where he regenerated from fear of spiders and encountered them, and Sutek he was afraid of, but he didn't die in this, of course not. It was, there's many, many adventures left, but he is one of the top Doctor Who villains of all time, like Omega, you know, and they never used him again. He only appeared once in Doctor Who episodes. And again, sometimes when I talked about it in the Real Whovians cast, I had said Pyramid of Mars and Arrow. But if you think about it, yes, the title of the episode is called Pyramids of Mars, but they're constantly mentioning Pyramid of Mars in the episode. Come to the Pyramid of Mars.
Yeah,
so,
and what I think what they're referring to is basically not only
he is.
text, but the little whistle too.
Yeah, but there's also, yes, exactly. So that's the whole point.
The whole pyramid power.
Yes, but this is by far the episode that made Matrixlord212 who he is and changed me forever, getting me into Doctor Who, making me into a writer. I mean, this just basically set my path to like everything else, you know. So that's it. That's the top of the top episodes of Doctor Who that will always be that way because this is my founding episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And on that note, that's our review. Perfect 10 for me. So, thank you, Scott. Take care. Bye for now.